I was in a small town called Sachon, in the state of Gyeongsamnam-do. So it's by the beach. So I cannot complain about having a beach nearby.
Yeah.
But it felt very authentic. There were still other English teachers in my town, because Korea has a very good government program for bringing in English teachers.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of my British English conversations with different teachers and creators. I'm buzzing to be back. I'm excited. And this is the first of 3 conversations that I'm recording today. So at the end of the day, I'm going to be knackered. But right now, I'm still full of beans, full of energy. And I have a great guest here. But before I introduce him, and he introduces himself rather, let me know, where are you watching this from? Whereabouts in the world are you? Because I'm always eager to find out. That being said, Regan, hello, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see everyone.
Yeah, how are you today?
I'm pretty good. I'm chuffed to be here, and yeah, it's a day off from work, so I can't complain.
Excellent, you're chuffed. A lovely British adjective, which means like you're pleased, you're happy, you're chuffed. Fantastic. Now, tell everybody a little bit about you. Could you introduce yourself?
Okay, I will try. Usually I'm bad with introductions, but my name is Regan. It's difficult to explain where I'm from. I'm from London, but I'm also from Kent. I'm in the middle. I'm in a London borough, but in the county of Kent. So, and well, I am a teacher. Well, part-time teacher, but just living life, I think.
Perfect. So interesting. So you're a Londoner, but you're also Kentish.
Yeah.
And you're a part-time teacher. What other job are you doing at the same time?
At the moment, I work in a warehouse. So nothing special, but money is money. That's the most important thing. But soon I will leave that job to start backpacking. So that job will soon be gone.
Okay, interesting. I've never worked in a warehouse. Is it like something to do with like Amazon or stuff like that? Could you go into a bit more detail?
Yeah, the warehouse is for a supermarket. So I wear a headset at work like this. I have a system and I pick up boxes and put them onto a wooden pallet that I will send to a specific store. So the stuff you buy at a supermarket, behind the scenes, that's me. The stuff is all me.
Interesting. And British supermarkets, I know we have Asda, Sainsbury's, Marks and Spencer's, Morrison's, Waitrose. Which one do you work for?
I work for Asda, the big green one.
Big green one. And are you a fan of the products that they sell there?
I can't complain. I mean, most of the stuff at home, the food, the spices, everything that you get. Yeah. And the employee discount, save money. Life is good.
Perfect. And with Asda, what was the slogan? There's like a motto, like a catchphrase for it. Is it like Price is Right or something like that?
I thought that was a game show, but I
think it was.
I can't remember the slogan for Asda.
I know they always, in the olden times, back in my day, they'd always go like, ding, ding.
Yeah.
And they'd like slap their bum of like where they'd have like coins in like their back pocket of their jeans. It's like Asda Price or something similar. Ding, ding.
That's Asda Price, then ding, ding. I think that's the one. I can't remember, but it's always on TV with the adverts on TV, but I cannot remember now.
Okay. But anyway, we'll move on from that. And you mentioned you are a part-time teacher. So how did you get into teaching in the first place? What's the story?
It's a mystery for me because I was always a shy person at school. So I don't know how I became a teacher later on in life. But I just have a love for languages and for travel. So when I was at school, I wanted a job that involved both of those. And I thought English is a desirable language worldwide. So it could be a useful job to teach English and also teach it in different locations around the world. So I think it was a good choice.
I mean, teaching English is a very rewarding job. It's very friendly, very nice, very sociable, having a chat with people from all over the world. It's great to kind of broaden your horizons and become more open-minded because you get to speak to people from all walks of life, from all over the globe. So yeah, I think you've made a good choice. And you mentioned learning languages. What languages have you learned previously?
I studied Chinese at university. So my
Oh,
degree
wow.
at university was TESOL, which is an acronym for Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. And I had to do that with a language, and I chose Chinese because one university in England, is very expensive. So I wanted to get the most useful language out of it. And also it's a language that can be used for many purposes in the future. The market for Chinese is growing, so I think it's a long-term investment kind of language.
Okay. I mean, it sounds a little bit intimidating. Like I've mentioned on this podcast before that I took the easy route by studying like Spanish, a bit of French, a bit of Italian, all Romance languages that are all kind of intertwined and linked together. So you can get by in different languages if you already speak Spanish, for example. But with Chinese, like, it sounds so hard.
It's difficult, but for me, I haven't studied Chinese or used it since I finished university. But because of all the help and the studying I did at university, when I restart learning it again, I already have a good head start, and I know the grammar, and the only difficult part is the speaking and the writing, which is quite opposite to languages that I've studied before, because Spanish and Portuguese, I find it easy to speak, to read and write, but listening is difficult. But Chinese is the opposite because every character is unique. There's no alphabet, so you have to remember every process for writing, and then speaking is difficult because of the tones.
Uh-huh. Okay. And I don't know if there are any Chinese people watching these videos. I'm not sure. And the only word I know in Chinese, I think, is like ni hao. Uh, I think that's Chinese, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. You're safe. You're safe.
Okay, good. I was like, please don't be like Korean or Japanese. But could you teach us a phrase, any phrase in Chinese? You choose. The ball is in your court, and it's up to you.
Okay, I'll stick with for this one. My pronunciation may be terrible now, so but a nice one. 我爱你.
我爱你.
Yeah, which means I love you.
Oh,
Yeah,
我爱
positive.
你.
Yeah,
Okay, well, subscribers, viewers, 我爱你.
and with the little heart fingers as well,
Okay, this
like
is a
that.
heart. They
Yeah,
don't do that?
I think that's more of a European one, but in Asia, when I was in Korea, especially, I don't know if it's the same with China, but that makes a little heart.
Okay,
Your
interesting.
thumb and your finger cross. You see the outline of it.
Kind of like this?
Yeah,
I'm terrible.
exactly. That counts.
Awesome. So you were studying Chinese and you were studying TESOL as well. Which one did you enjoy most whilst you were at university? Was it the teaching side or the Chinese side?
It went back and forth. But overall, I enjoyed them both. I think university was great for me because I got to study something that I enjoyed and had a passion about, rather than at school where you are forced to study subjects that maybe you're not interested in. But when I started university, the language was the most interesting for me. But as time went on, the teaching English aspect became more and more interesting for me, especially when I received my certificate, my TESOL certificate. After that, I felt more motivated than ever to teach. That so motivated that I actually skipped my year abroad, so that I could finish university a year sooner, that I can go into the working world and start teaching. That's why my Chinese isn't perfect, because I didn't take part in the year abroad.
And I imagine the idea was in principle that you were going to spend 1 year or 9 months somewhere in China.
Yeah.
Was it just kind of the fact that you wanted to start working sooner, or was it something about leaving and going to China, which is completely different to the United Kingdom, that was a little bit, I don't know, scary or off-putting for you?
I was always open to going to China, but I think there were two factors. Number one, when I received my certificate, the fact is that I could finish university a year sooner and start teaching. So that's 1 year of university fees that I could save. So my university debt wouldn't be as high as it could have been. And then number two is COVID. I would have done my year abroad
In
in
Wuhan.
you never know, but it would have been in 2020 to 2021.
Okay,
Would
great
have been,
timing.
yeah, perfect timing, absolutely incredible timing.
All right.
So
Now I understand why you didn't want to go to China during this time. It's
yeah,
completely comprehensible. Perfect. Now, would you like to go to China at some point in the near future?
definitely, definitely. I would be happy to spend a year or two in China teaching English. I think they have good benefits for English teachers in China, but also to develop my language skills. Because if I could speak Chinese every single day and take my Chinese level from here to here, I can bring that back to the UK, and the job opportunities for me in the future with Chinese at an advanced level, yeah, it is
I
good
mean, it's a
prospects.
very, very valuable language to have, especially because among English people, for example, or Americans as well, unless you have a Chinese dad or mum, nobody really speaks Chinese, sorry. And maybe at school nowadays, people have the option of studying like a module in Chinese because it's becoming a more and more important language to learn. But usually British people first don't learn other languages. And second, when they do, it's either Spanish or French or maybe German or Italian. But it's always the easy options, like the options that I chose. But if you kind of really go for it and push the boat out and study, I don't know, Russian, Korean, Chinese, then the working possibilities, I do think, really, really open up. So go for it, mate.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, Korean would have been a good language to study, because after university, I spent a year in Korea. And also, to add to the fact that you said about people choosing certain languages, at my university, we had one class for Chinese. We had maybe 4 or 5 classes for Korean and Japanese. Those were the most desirable languages at university, I think, because of K-pop, Japanese culture, all these things. But yeah, as I said, in hindsight, Korean for me would have been the best choice. But yeah, you live and you learn.
Exactly. And which university did you go to?
I went to Central Lancashire in Preston. So yeah, up in the
Interesting
north of
choice.
England.
A boy from London goes to Preston North End.
Yep. I went to a Preston North End football match and watched them play against Charlton, which is a London team. So it's quite a backwards situation.
And for you, what was it like at university? Like, I'm from near Leeds, a little town. I went to Liverpool. Liverpool's quite a vibrant, interesting city. So there's a lot of things going on, a very university city at the same time. And again, in hindsight, I would have studied a lot more. I should have really immersed myself in the languages that I was studying. But, I was 18, 19, 20, 21. I was going out. I was drinking. I was partying. And I was really wasting a lot of time, but I was young. So you live and you learn, as you said. In your case, what was your university life like, apart from the studying aspect?
Mine, well, I would like to put out a disclaimer that COVID ruined my university
Ruined
experience.
everything.
Because I started in 2017. I did a foundation year because I didn't study a language at sixth form at A level because
Mhm.
so I needed to spend a year at university before I start my official first year. But during this time, 2017, 18, 19, I was still quite an introvert, which is, as I said, weird why I'm a teacher if I'm an introvert. But
Mhm.
during that time, I didn't go out much. I didn't meet too many people. But then the end of 2019, when I started the next year of university, I told myself, let's go out more. We had Erasmus students from Spain. I had a very extroverted Italian friend in my Chinese class. So it was a good recipe for confidence building and socializing. So I had a
Uh,
good few months of going out, like doing more things. And then the arrival of COVID at the beginning of 2020, and the rest of my university time was spent at home, online. So, yeah, different
um,
stages.
it doesn't sound very cool. Like,
It wasn't.
obviously, everybody had to adapt. A lot of things went online, but with I remember I was teaching in person at that time. I was going from company to company, teaching mainly business English classes, like cycling around Seville to do it, and everything went online. It was kind of seamless in terms of the transition because we were only teaching one-to-one classes or groups of like 4 to 6 students. We were already using PowerPoints anyway, so it was kind of seamless to transition from in person to online. And I kind of enjoy it. And I'll always say that it's a blessing in disguise almost because everybody thought that COVID would be terrible, and it was. But from a very selfish point of view, it meant that English teachers no longer had to go in person to an office, to a classroom, because nowadays I think more and more people prefer to have their classes online. But from a university student's point of view, um, was it okay? Like transitioning from having your classes at faculties and the university to then having them online?
I would say it's 50-50. There's some good points are that, as I said, transitioning online for the teaching part was good because my only experience teaching was in face to face in classrooms. So I remember practicing teaching as part of my module at university. Um, I think we had a really good teaching department where we'd invite uh, speakers of other languages to attend free lessons at the university, but those free lessons would be taught by the students
Mhm.
to practice their teaching. So everyone benefits from the classes. But also, I spent a month in Uzbekistan gaining teaching experience. There was the British Council asked my university if we wanted to do an exchange for a month. So some of us went to Uzbekistan for teaching experience, which helped me a lot. So that was my first foreign teaching experience. But then end of 2019, 2020 university year,
Uh-huh.
transitioning online helped me gain online teaching experience. So that's the positive part. The negative part was, I think, the language learning. I enjoyed face-to-face classes for my Chinese lessons. I think being at home, there are too many distractions when I'm trying to learn online. Whereas in a classroom, I could concentrate more. I can have discussions about topics with people in the class. Whereas if I'm sitting like I am now, and then my phone is there, I have a TV that is there, you
Uh-huh.
just, yeah, you get too relaxed, you lose focus.
Absolutely. Also, interesting to hear this perspective, this point of view from someone who went through the pandemic whilst at university. Now, you've mentioned Korea, you've mentioned Uzbekistan, which is a bit surprising. I didn't expect that. But let's start with Korea. Why did you go to Korea, and how was the experience?
I didn't expect to go to Korea when I did. I was teaching online for a school in Spain um, for half a year, and then they got rid of a lot of teachers. I think they took on too many at the time, so they got rid of a few, including myself. So I took the winter to like think about what to do next, and during the winter, it's hard to find job opportunities. I then, at the start of 2022, I applied for jobs in Taiwan and in Korea, and Korea came back to me, and yeah, interview, different stages, and then in about a month or two later, I was in Korea, had to quarantine still. Most of my teaching was with a mask on in the school, so it's quite hard to teach pronunciation when you can't show your mouth, but we adapt to things, we play games. Korea was just incredible. I could talk about it for a long time, but
no, we can continue with it because Korean things like K whatever is kind of all over the place at the moment. And as we're recording this last night, I watched a couple of episodes of the Squid Game second season, and I follow a YouTube channel called Korean Englishman as well, which is a couple of English guys from London. They have two channels. One of them is Jolly, another one is Korean Englishman. I like watching people travel and eat. So these they go hand in hand, in my opinion. So I know, again, one phrase in Korean, which is 감사합니다, which I think is thank you.
yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Okay, good. But no, Korea sounds like an amazing place, and the people in Korea seem very, very friendly, very hardworking for sure, but very friendly and kind of open to other experiences, cultures, and people. But yeah, I've never been. So what would you say were the highlights of your trip whilst you were there? Because I know one of the negatives was maybe teaching with a face mask, but what were the best things?
I think that was the main negative. They only removed the mask mandate when it was the last month or two of my time there. But overall, the experience, I was teaching in a small town. I wasn't in the big cities like Busan or Seoul. I was in a small town called Sacheon, in the state of Gyeongsang-namdo. So it's by the beach. So I cannot complain about having a beach nearby.
Yeah.
But it felt very authentic. There were still other English teachers in my town, because Korea has a very good government program for bringing in English teachers. You can get jobs at private schools, international schools, or public schools. And I did the public school option. I taught at an elementary school. So it was very basic English, which was easy for me, but playing games with the students and it was a good challenge because I think adults are easier to get their attention. Students, you have to really develop yourself as a teacher to try and build lessons around attention spans. And yeah, it's a challenge, but yeah, Korea was incredible. The food, the people, the safety as well. You had no worries out there. Even if North Korea is right next to it, you still have no worries.
Perfect. And related to the food, I know Korean fried chicken's a big thing. They've got lots of noodles, lots of Korean barbecue. Did you have a favorite type of Korean food whilst you were there?
Oh, I could name a lot. There's different ones. So Korean fried chicken for me, best thing you will ever eat. Like
The
when
pinnacle.
I
Pinnacle.
I don't know have you been to Korea?
No, I haven't been. I've tried Korean food in Korean restaurants, so I'm familiar with it, but it's never going to be the authentic, real thing. But I'd
Yeah.
love to go.
If you go to Korea and have Korean fried chicken, it will never be the same when you go home. You'll be craving it all the time. Korean street food, you have tteokbokki, omuktang. You've got so many street foods that will keep you warm in winter. Some good spices. But then I also like the ramen is good. But one of my favorite things that was at the school lunches are incredible compared to school lunches in England. They were nutritious, they're healthy, full of good flavors. Was a soup called gamjatang. It's like a soup or stew, but it has like pork backbone in. So you get a good flavor. You've got your vegetables in it, your beans, sprouts, potato. So full of
I mean,
all
I
good
can tell
things.
you're getting emotional about it at the moment. You're like,
Yes.
take me back.
yeah. Thinking about it now, I just like, how can I transport myself over there?
Exactly. You're reminiscing about the good old days. But the food looks incredible. And from my minimal experience of eating Korean food and Korean barbecue, where you have lots of different sides and then you kind of cook it yourself, it's absolutely delicious. But like, there is one thing with Korea that is kind of interesting, and it's obviously because of its past with North Korea, South Korea, that all young people, when they're like between 18 and 25 or something like that, they have to do like the compulsory military service. Were you able to speak to people about this? Like, did you make any friends who had done the military service whilst you were there?
I didn't speak to people mainly because of the language barrier. I had Papago, which is basically the Google Translate, but for Korean. But you would see people in their army outfits all the time. When I do like a weekend trip to Busan, even people traveling back on the bus to the small town I lived in, you'd see one or two people in their army uniforms. So you would see that it is a clear thing to see. You'll see everyone doing it, so you know everyone there has done it. So although I didn't speak to people personally, you just already know they have been through the whole process.
Exactly. It's kind of interesting. It's a little bit of a controversial topic, but I do think that there are a lot of advantages and pros that you can get from going through this kind of experience with loads of peers, people your age. And of course, nobody ever wants there to be any wars or anything like that. But I think from maybe, I don't know, an organizational bonding point of view, it could be quite a beautiful experience. But again, if somebody tried to force me to do military service in the UK, I'd probably run away. So I'm a bit of a hypocrite. Cool. And with K-pop and all of this kind of media related to Korea, are you into it? Did you listen to a lot of Korean music?
I was forced to listen to it. I don't mind it. I cannot understand it. I I don't mind it. I know that the K-pop fans are insane. So just in case anyone's watching this that is crazy about K-pop,
Best music ever.
yeah, best music ever. BTS, all praise BTS. But as a teacher in a school, the students would ask me at the end of the lesson, "Can we put this song on?" I put the song on. They already know the dance, the whole choreography. They already knew, so you can see how big of an influence it is. I've never heard screams so loud before, just from putting BTS pictures in my PowerPoint. That's the one thing to grab their attention. Just put K-pop or anything related to Korean culture on the screen. Boom, discussion topic. Cheat code.
Yeah. Now we know. Now, anyway, let's move on from Korea and Uzbekistan. What was that like?
At the time, very strange because it was 2019, and I think they only just opened up to people at the beginning of 2019. So going to Tashkent and teaching at a university there, I taught at the Tashkent University of Economics. So my lessons were business related, which I've never taught business English before. So having that as a first time teaching, quite intimidating for me. I had to do a lot of research before the lessons. But it was cultural wise, it was eye opening. Going to a country that not many people think about visiting or even realize is a country or a place. But that's my favorite type of travel, going to places people don't think about, so that then you can bring back the culture and the experiences and share it with people.
I mean, it sounds amazing. And all of these places in kind of central area are very undiscovered by most people, like all of the stands as well, for example. And I only know the capital because I was listening to a podcast yesterday, which was saying that Manchester City were going to sign a defender from Lens, from France, who is Uzbeki. And then they mentioned the capital, Tashkent. But if not, I'd have had to ask you to like clarify. Tashkent? Is that a place? But no, it's the capital. I know that now.
Yeah. We spent a good time exploring So we went to Tashkent, we went to Samarkand, which is on the Silk Road. So any historians who love traveling, that's a place you have to go to. And then Bukhara, which is in the desert. So it got a good grasp of the landscape. So yeah, very
Ah,
memorable trip.
sounds amazing. Now, just before we started recording, we were having a little bit of a chit chat, and I mentioned maybe we could discuss one of our hobbies, and I just brought up the topic with Manchester City. And Regan, you're a gunner, right?
Yes, a big Arsenal fan. And my shirt is down there. I cannot reach it, but I would have it on if I could.
Okay. And have you always been into football? Is it something that like your parents like pushed on you when you were growing up?
Yeah, I think it's a cultural thing in England. I think 90% of boys are just boom, straight football. Football is your life. But for me, yeah, I've been an Arsenal fan my whole life. I've been playing football as soon as I could walk. I think my first word was ball or car. So I was born with a football basically.
Excellent. And at what position did you play?
Oh, Lewis, I got put everywhere. My dad was the manager.
Utility man.
Yeah, my dad was the manager of my
Okay.
team, which usually you'd think, he's going to get put wherever he wants. He's going to receive everything. It was the opposite. My first position was goalkeeper. Then I played striker. And then my dad forced me to play further and further back, midfielder, defender. And
Uh-huh.
then later on, I went back to striker. Some would say I'm a jack of all trades.
Clear. So you have multiple different skills and abilities. You can be used anywhere. You're kind of like a Swiss Army knife almost.
Exactly.
Excellent. And do you go to the Emirates Stadium or not?
I try to. It's very difficult to buy tickets.
Very pricey as well, right?
Pricey and difficult. You need a membership. You need to enter a ballot. You need just luck to receive the tickets. So I went to a few games last season. This season, no, because I don't have my membership now. But you never know.
Okay. And recently, things have been looking up for Arsenal. It's been a pretty good last 5 years, give or take. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I don't get bullied as much for my Arsenal supporting. In school, it was a tough time, but now I can laugh about other teams: Tottenham, Manchester United, Chelsea. I can laugh at these teams. I can get my revenge.
Exactly. Perfect. I mean, I'm a Leeds fan, so I'm used to suffering my entire life. So the less we speak about footballing success, probably the better. But related to Arsenal as well, what was I going to say? Um, talking about podcasts and media, Arsenal fans are famous for being very, let's say, full on and very extreme, and they make a lot of noise on social networks. There's Arsenal Fan TV, I think it's called, where you have some die-hard Gunners fans that make a racket. They make a commotion about every single match and decision. So yeah, what do you think of this kind of section of Arsenal fans? Are they embarrassing you?
I think social media, especially, people are very reactionary. They're very extreme, very passionate, but they're completely different to the fans in the stadium. I think the main thing is because social media, if you say something extreme and people view your tweet or whatever you write, then you get more attention. I think that's how social media works. So I think there's a method why they're so crazy online, but it can be embarrassing um, when other fans try to chip in and have their opinions. But I take no part in it. I am a good, humble fan.
Okay, perfect. I mean, we're recording this in January, but it won't be released until March when people are watching this. But right now, Arsenal are looking like they could be dark horses to win the league, meaning that maybe they're not the favourites, and it would be difficult if they did win the league. But, we're not going to rule them out. So, what is your prediction? Do you think Arsenal will win the league this season? Do you think they'll win the Champions League? Where do you think they'll come in both of these competitions?
It's hard to tell because the last 2 seasons we were in a good position, a better position than this season. But you never know with football. It's unpredictable. Anything can happen. But I don't know what I have more faith in, the Premier League or the Champions League. The Champions League, we have never won it. I can't imagine what I would do if we won it. There would be some extreme celebrations that I may not remember or be in control of. But the same with the Premier League. I think the last time we won the Premier League was 2004 and I was 6. So I don't have many good memories.
Well, let's hope that Arsenal do well. I mean, I went to uni in Liverpool, so I personally prefer Liverpool to win, but I feel for you guys because you haven't been able to win much recently like Leeds, so I can kind of see myself represented in you. So I'd much prefer Arsenal to win the league than Manchester City, that is for sure.
And I hope Leeds get promoted this season.
It's looking good, but we always end up falling apart and crumbling. We can't perform well under pressure. In the last couple of matches, we were winning until the last minute, and then the opponent equalised. So things would be looking great if that hadn't happened. But, I mean, we're still doing well, so we still should get promoted, but I'm never
Fingers
that confident.
crossed.
To be honest. Fingers crossed for sure. Now, before we finish off, I know that soon you're going backpacking, as you mentioned. So tell us about your plans. Where are you going? How long for? And what are you most looking forward to doing?
Well, doing a big kind of backpacking trip has been a dream of mine. Just forget all the stress from work and from life and just go on an adventure. I've been to many countries before. As I said, Korea for 1 year. I spent many weeks in New Zealand, Brazil. I tried to travel everywhere. But now to have the opportunity to leave my job and spend a year traveling is a big goal of mine that's becoming a reality. So I will start in Australia, the most expensive and the furthest country. So I already have my map behind me, ready to scratch off all the countries that I visit. But yeah, the plan, Australia first, and then a loop around Southeast Asia. So Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore for a few months. Come home in the summer because the weather in Asia in summer is, to say respectfully, disgusting. From experience from Korea, some summer in Asia is hot, humid, and rainy. So no, thank you. But then, actually, I will be having part 2 of my trip in the middle of September. I will be flying back to Brazil, spend more time there. It's my favorite country. Go Brazil, and then travel around South America. So I'm killing kind of 2 birds with 1 stone in this whole trip.
I mean, it sounds like you're traveling literally all around the world.
Yeah. I'd like to go to Africa, but it's just money-wise. If I can find jobs whilst traveling, whatever will keep me going, I'll happily do it.
I mean, for sure, you can continue teaching whilst you're traveling. Let's see, depending on the time zones, how you're able to kind of manage everything and balance it all. But it sounds very exciting. And I'm sure you'll be posting some interesting videos and pictures about wherever you end up going. Like, I visited some of these places in Australia. I lived there for a year. Then I went to Indonesia, to Singapore, to Malaysia and Thailand. And then from there, ended up coming back to Europe, and it was an unforgettable experience, and I'd recommend it to anyone and everyone. But I've never been to Brazil, and I know for sure that people are watching this from Brazil. Maybe you've stopped watching at this point, I'm not sure, but if you are still here, Brazilians, let us know in the comments. And let's finish with Brazil, because again, I'd love to go, but I haven't really been. I just have the stamp on my passport from when I was in Argentina. and I went to the waterfalls of Iguazu, and I had to cross the border into Brazil in order to go. So apparently I've visited Brazil, but really I haven't. But in your case, why do you say it's your favorite country? What is there to love about Brazil?
The question is, what is there not to love? Because it was always a dream of mine to visit Brazil. Just big country. The football culture for me, it's no question. Yeah, huge. Beaches, just friendly people, good food. I felt when I went to Brazil, I just felt like I was on cloud nine. I had the most energy. I was feeling positive and confident just to go out and meet people. Yes, some cities are dangerous, but even so, I still felt happy regardless of what happened. I also went to Iguazu, so I want to know your opinion on your experience there.
I mean, for me, it was when I was doing my year abroad, because I spent half of the time in a town called Bahia Blanca in Argentina and the other half in Palermo in Sicily. But when I was in Bahia Blanca, I lived with an Argentinian family, and I taught in the school that they owned. And then at the end of my trip, I traveled around Argentina. So I went right to the bottom, like where Land's End is, like Tierra del Fuego. I also went to the glacier as well, which was incredible. And at the end, I went up to the top. I remember going by bus as well, which was long. But when I was there, I remember walking around. The weather was perfect. I went with an Irish friend that I had made whilst I was there. There were lots of like big iguanas and kind of tropical birds and lots of insects. And it was really good. I wasn't there for a long time, but it is one of the wonders of the world. So I remember being like in awe, looking around and seeing all of the sights and the landscapes. And I was like, this is incredible. And yeah, it was like 10 years ago now, 11 years ago now. And I wish I could go back, but I went mainly in the Argentinian side, but I had to cross over to Brazil. And I just remember looking at everything, and like the immensity of it all was like jaw-dropping almost, just being like, whoa, nature.
If it makes you feel like you're on another planet, it's out of this world kind of experience. Because I have my Brazil photos behind me here. So I also went to the Argentinian side for it. But I spent 3 weeks in Brazil as like an introduction. So I stayed in the state of Rio de Janeiro. So I spent my weekends in Rio de Janeiro. During the weeks, I went to different places outside the city, to a place called Arraial de Cabo, which is like white sand beaches, clear blue water. And it's a place where mainly Brazilians and Argentinians go. So I felt like I found a hidden gem for myself. And then also Ilha Grande and Paraty. Any Brazilians watching will know these places. And then, yes, I finished my trip. I flew to Foz do Iguaçu airport and spent my time in the Brazil side, and then did a day trip to the Argentinian side. So I did the opposite to you.
Perfect. I mean, see, we've got a lot in common after all. Perfect. Well, that's amazing. And it's been a perfect chat. I think it's flowed very well. And it's been so interesting to get to know more about you and your unique travels, especially knowing that you're about to start traveling again. So again, thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. And if you have any doubts about the advanced words that we use naturally in this conversation, then don't hesitate to ask, and we'd be happy to give you a helping hand. But yeah, Regan, thank you so much, and we wish you all the best on your backpacking travels.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I wish everyone the best with their English journey, and hope that they've enjoyed the discussion.
Exactly. I'm sure they will have. So yeah, thanks again, Regan. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you in the next video. So cheers, and see you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.